Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ClubExpress webinar on refunding members and the ClubExpress merchant account. My name is Devin, and I'll be presenting today. We'll get started here in just a second, but first I wanted to go over a few housekeeping notes. All of your microphones are muted. If you have any questions during the webinar, they should be entered into the chat window at the bottom of your screen. Sam, one of our ClubExpress staff, is in the chat to help with questions along the way. This webinar is being recorded, and it can be found on clubexpress.com in the cool stuff page, as well as on our YouTube channel. You can find our YouTube channel by searching YouTube for clubexpress.com, and that's dot spelled out. And while you're there, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure to hit the notification button so that you can see when we have new webinars and training videos posted. You can view upcoming webinars and register for them ahead of time by clicking on the calendar option on clubexpress.com. If you register ahead of time, you can leave notes in your registration about items you would like to see demonstrated during that webinar. Is ClubExpress working well for your organization? If so, please leave a review to help others decide if ClubExpress is right for them. You can leave reviews by visiting clubexpress.com/reviews. And also, have you heard about the upcoming ClubExpress Bootcamp? It's taking place on December 8th. It is a full day of more than a dozen training sessions led by ClubExpress experts and power users to help get any new clubs or administrators up to speed on managing your ClubExpress website. The sessions will all be available both live and recorded to all participants. The price for the bootcamp is just $199. And that one fee gets access for all of your administrators and coordinators for your entire organization. All right, let's get started. So today's topic is on refunding members and the ClubExpress merchant account. Today, we'll be looking at how to process refunds for canceled transactions and the different ways to do that. We'll also look at how to cancel paid transactions and when you can and cannot process the refund directly through ClubExpress. We'll also be looking at how to complete those refunds in a few different ways. We'll also talk about the benefits and how to sign up for the ClubExpress merchant account. And we'll look at different payment methods and how they can or cannot be refunded. We're going to run through the process of handling an external refund, be it simply by sending a physical check or even sending them a payment through Venmo or Zelle or another electronic payment method. You can also have third-party merchant accounts like Stripe, PayPal, or Authorize.net directly issue credit card refunds, and we'll look at what needs to be done on the ClubExpress side to make that happen. There is an additional option for users of the ClubExpress merchant account that allows you to process credit card refunds directly from your site without having to take any external steps. To do this, we do have to create a credit card refund account. And it is important to note that adding funds to your refund account can sometimes take a few days. And there's an option to add larger amounts to your refund account to cover if you need to make multiple refunds. So we'll cover how to create those refunds and create that account and how to add funds to it. So now I'm going to switch over to our demo site. So this is the website for the Chicago Association of Financial Planners. I am logged in to this website as an administrator named Martin Smith. And what we're going to do is we're going to go take a look at one of our members named Kate Jones, and we're going to go to her through the control panel, and we will visit the people manager, and we'll search for the name Jones to pull up Kate Jones. If we click on the pencil for Kate Jones, we will see her member profile. And what we're going to be looking at today is her transaction history. So for Kate, you'll see we have a number of transactions listed here that we've done some testing on. And right now we have a charge that was paid. And you can click on this receipt icon to see that this is an example transaction and this was paid by a check. If we know that she is going to need a refund for this transaction, we can go ahead and cancel it using this trash can icon. This will open up our cancel transaction screen and we'll be given two options. We can either delete the transaction or cancel it. Deleting the transaction will remove both the payment and the transaction. So this is to be used if you have entered a transaction in error and need to enter it again, or we have the option to cancel a transaction, which will then begin the process of allowing us to give them a credit or a refund for this transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel transaction. And we'll see that this transaction that I just canceled now shows up as the status canceled. So we can go over back to the member's profile, and we can see the results of canceling that transaction in a similar place directly under transaction history called payment credit history. Here we'll see a number of payments that were related to the transactions that were canceled. The one we just canceled is this check number to Club. We have the similar receipt icon that will give us that same information. But below the payment section, where these are all noted as having been refunded, we'll see we have a number of credits. Whenever you cancel a transaction that has already been paid, it will generate a credit for that same amount. The only exception is if the payment was done in the form of a comp or a write-off. Those are options only available to administrators, and that is letting the system know that we are not collecting funds for this. And so when it is canceled, because there were no funds collected, a credit is not generated. If we go down to our credits, we'll see that that transaction I just canceled generated a $72 credit on her account. We can see all of the transactions that have been canceled and generated credits, and we'll see a total amount of credits that have been issued to her and the available amount. We have a few options here. We can either leave these credits on her profile, and the next time she makes a payment on the ClubExpress website, she will be able to use these credits to pay for that transaction instead of entering a credit card or sending a check or entering some other form of payment. Additionally, if we wanted to get this money back to Kate, we can do something either outside or inside of the ClubExpress system. Starting with the outside options, we can either physically mail Kate a check. We can send her money using an electronic payment method such as Zelle or Venmo or any other number of electronic payment methods. There is also an option if you are using a third-party credit card processor, such as PayPal, Stripe, or Authorize.net. You can reach out directly to them, give them the information for the transaction, and they can credit that back to that person's credit card. That process does not happen through ClubExpress, but once that has been done and you have either mailed a check or returned the money to her in some way, we can click this pencil icon for this credit, and we will see a number of options. We can either change the amount if we refunded a partial amount, or we can click this option for select action, and we have a number of options for dealing with this credit. Today, we'll be specifically looking at refunds, but we also have the option to waive a credit if that member does not wish to receive a refund for their money. We can cancel a credit if it is not applicable that they receive money back for a canceled transaction, or we can mark it as refunded. When we mark a transaction as refunded, the balance for that credit switches to zero, and it tells the system that this transaction has been refunded to them outside of the ClubExpress system. If we have mailed a check or sent them money, at this point, we are done with refunding Kate Jones. There's another location where we can go to access these types of controls. If we return to our control panel and go to our money section of our control panel, there is an option called Open Credits. This is similar to the screen we were just looking at, but it's going to give us results for all users of your ClubExpress website. Right now, we have 2 different users that have credits, and we can see them both on this screen. We've got Martin Smith, who has a $100 credit, and Kate Jones, who has 2 remaining credits for canceled transactions. These pencils will give us the same options we got when we were looking at them on the payments and credits screen. We can refund, cancel, waive, just like we saw before. This screen has a similar search field to other sections, so you can filter your credits by date, or you can even mark it as show refunds only. And instead of showing credits that were manually created by an administrator for services applied or overpayment of some sort, we can hit search here, and it'll only show us items that have been refunded by canceling transactions. Or if we uncheck this, we'll get the manually created credits here again. There is an extra option on this screen for users of the ClubExpress payment processor. So I'm going to switch back because we can't do this on this demo site because we don't have a live ClubExpress merchant account. So what you'll see when you have the ClubExpress merchant account on the Opens Credits page, you will see a button for your refund account. And to the right of that button, you'll see the current status of your ClubExpress credit card refund account. When you click on that button, the credit card refund account page will open up, and there's an option to add funds from your primary bank account to your refund account. These added funds can only be used for refunding canceled credit card transactions that were paid for through the ClubExpress merchant account processor. These funds must be pulled from your bank account because once the user has made a credit card payment, that money is on its way to your bank account and we can no longer access it without you authorizing it on this screen. Once you request those funds, they may not be available to access for about 3 to 5 business days, as we must wait for that transfer to fully clear from bank to bank. For that reason, if you need to make multiple refunds, so if you have multiple credit card transactions that you need to refund, it can be useful to request a single larger amount to be added to your credit card refund account to cover multiple transactions. Once you have requested those funds and they have cleared, you will then see your credit card refund info, and below that, you'll see the current balance of your refund account. Once you have a balance in your refund account, you will see icons next to some of your credits that are in the shape of a $ with an arrow. Clicking on these icons will open the refund credit card window that summarizes the refund and gives you the option to change the amount that you would like to refund. Your organization may have a fee for canceling transactions, so you can use this screen to specify either an amount or a percentage that will be withheld from that refund, and it will not be refunded to their card. Only the amount that you specify will be refunded. Clicking the Process Refund button will confirm the refund and begin the process of crediting it back to their credit card. At this point, no other actions are required for the refund to go through. So after you've completed a credit card refund, you can find all of your refund data in the control panel, in the money section under reports, in user payments. The very last report is going to be credit card refunds. This report is going to give you all of the information about refunds that have been processed through the ClubExpress merchant account processor. We get options to select a time frame, as well as the export format that we would like to choose. Here is an example of what that report will look like. It will give your organization's name. It is important to note that there is a section on this report that will tell you who initiated that refund. So you can keep track of who is processing refunds with Access. It'll also give you a total amount of refunds within the time frame that you ran for that report. So now let's move on to ask to a few other topics about the ClubExpress merchant account processor. There are benefits to using the ClubExpress merchant account processor that you won't get with other credit card processing options used through ClubExpress. The ClubExpress merchant account processor is a system that processes user credit card transactions. When you process payments with other processors, the funds will only be sent to one bank account. With the ClubExpress merchant account, you can use financial accounts to route funds to different bank accounts. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that here. So now if we were to navigate to the money section of the control panel, we can go to financial accounts, and we have an option to add financial accounts. And when you are adding a financial account, one of the options will be to select the bank account that this will be routed to. Now, this is our demo club, so we don't have live bank accounts connected to it, but any bank accounts you attach to your website will show up in this option. So I've gone ahead and created the luncheon fund, and this is a fund that we can use for paying for our lunch meetings. The usefulness of that is when we have an event for, say, having our members come to a lunch, we can route funds from registrations for that event into a completely different bank account so that we know exactly how much money is going into and how much money is available to be used for that event. What we can do to do that is if we go to our control panel and we go to our website tab of our control panel, we're going to look at an event. And I've got my luncheon event pulled up here. When you are creating an event, there will be a section called registration and fees. And on this page, if we go down to fees and payments, there is an option to enter a financial account. And I can change this from master event registrations, which will go to our primary bank account. And we can change this to our luncheon fund. Now, from the moment I save this, any payments that are issued to this event will, instead of going to our primary bank account, will then be routed to whatever bank account we have tied to the luncheon fund financial account. This can be done for Almost any transaction that you process on your website, be it ad hoc forms, storefront purchases, membership signups, we can route these to many different bank accounts. And this saves us time. Instead of having to split all of this money up once it's been deposited to you, that process can be done automatically. So you don't have to then be sending funds from one bank account to another. There is two other benefits of using the ClubExpress merchant account. You can also use PayPal in conjunction with the ClubExpress merchant account. So that what that means for you is you can set up both of these simultaneously. And when a member is making a payment, they will have the choice to either pay by credit card straight through ClubExpress, or if they would prefer to use their own PayPal account, they can pay by credit card or from a balance sitting in a PayPal account that they have. We also transfer funds collected through ClubExpress merchant account processing to your bank account 3 times per month. Some merchant account processors will only process once per month. So to set up a ClubExpress merchant account processor, all you need to do is contact support and inform them that you are interested in signing up for it. They will enable an application on your site, which can then be found in the control panel, in the Money tab, under Money Options, and you'll simply scroll down to the credit card merchant account section, and you will see a button that says Start Application. Once you click that button, there is a very simple application where you fill in your organization's banking information. And within about 24 hours, barring any issues, you'll already be up and running and able to process credit cards on your site. There are a few limitations to using the ClubExpress payment processor. If your organization is a for-profit membership-based business, or if your organization is based outside of the US, you cannot use the ClubExpress payment processor. Additionally, if you are processing regular payments over $3,000, you can't use the ClubExpress payment account. And also, if you are prohibited by state law from giving access to your bank account, then the ClubExpress processor wouldn't work. That last item is most common with state-run organizations or universities. All right, I ran a little fast today, so we have a little bit more time for a Q&A. But yeah, Sam, do we have any pressing questions?
Well, there were just a handful. So one person just wanted to clarify, and I know that there might be people on the webinar who have been ClubExpress customers for a long time. So previously, if you were planning on using the storefront module, the built-in storefront module, we did not allow you to use the ClubExpress merchant account in conjunction with that storefront module, but that has since been a retired rule. So if that was something that was holding you back from using the ClubExpress merchant account and being able to sort of quote unquote cash in on all of those perks, that is no longer the case. So, if that's something that you're using and you are interested in switching merchant accounts, from anything that you might be using, whether it's PayPal or Stripe, and adopting the ClubExpress merchant account, we do have a framework set up for that as well. So it's a quick call to support, letting them know that you are looking to switch merchant accounts if you are an existing ClubExpress customer, and they can absolutely walk you through that process. Another couple of questions, or excuse me, one question was if there were credit card fees that would be used or that would be applied for a refund. So that's an interesting question, and there aren't any fees for refunding a credit card transaction. And what's more is that when you are getting ready to refund your customer, you have the option to withhold a certain amount that you decide. So you can withhold a percentage of the transaction or a fixed rate. And you can use that most commonly to cover the transaction fee that you would have paid when you originally incurred that transaction. So for example, if you're getting ready to refund refund a member for $100, you might choose to hold back $2 or $3 to cover your original transaction fee. So you have that option available to you as well. And there were a couple of additional questions that came in. So can reports be generated when using PayPal? So if you are referring to using PayPal as your merchant processor, then no, we don't have any PayPal specific reports. But if you are, asking about transactions that users may have paid for using PayPal, those items do show up on your payment reports. So all of those money tab reports will include information on what payment method was used for each of those transactions. So if it was PayPal, you will see the ID, you'll see that transaction ID, and you'll have information that pairs with that PayPal transaction.
An additional note on that, if you are using PayPal, the same is still true for if you're using financial accounts. The money collected through PayPal will still be categorized in ClubExpress for those financial accounts. You would just still have to manually move that money after it has been deposited into your bank account, as PayPal won't split it into different bank accounts like ClubExpress, like the ClubExpress payment processor can.
And another question that came in, can you link several event registration types to the same bank account? And you absolutely can. So when you are, as Devin demonstrated, when you're setting up your financial accounts, you are potentially linking them to a bank account that might be different from your primary bank account. So when you are setting up each individual event, you can determine which events are funneled into a specific bank account by using that identifier, using that financial account, and applying it when you create that event. So you do have the ability to link, maybe half of your events go into one specific bank account and the other half go into your primary account. You can use those financial accounts for as many of the same item as you want to. And the same goes for donation funds for any of that. The questions are starting to come in, so I'll just start reading these off. These are great questions. So refunds go right back to the member's credit card. That is correct. So the same credit card that member would have used for that specific transaction, that is where we will send the refund.
Yes, and it's important to note that only credit card transactions that have been canceled can be refunded back to a member's credit card. If you manually create a credit, or if a credit is generated by any other form of PayPal, any form of payment, such as PayPal, or if you have the Stripe payment processor, or it's still using authorized.net, or if it's paid by check, all of those can still be refunded, but they can't be credited back to someone's credit card.
That's correct. And next question, how can you record a refund for a registration fee as a donation to the organization? So that was a question that came up similarly earlier in the chat, and that is an interesting scenario. So there are a couple of things that you can do. One of them, which I've seen in my experience, is pretty common, and Devin, feel free to chime in with any other ways that you've seen other customers do this, is as an administrator going into your donation fund. And as an admin, you have the ability to record a donation on behalf of another member or non-member. So if you have that member's information, you know how much their refund is for. And if they've opted to waive getting a refund in lieu of just submitting that back to your organization as a donation, you can go into the donations module and record a donation on behalf of that member for the exact amount of their credit. Then when you go into the payment screen for that member and apply a payment, you'll see the credit listed on their account, and you'll be able to apply a payment using just their credit, and you won't need to enter in any additional payment information. So that's one way of recording that credit as a donation. Devin, have you seen any other ways?
In most cases, that is the best way, and I can actually go over that really quickly. So if we are going to use Kate as an example, I'll switch back over to the demo club for just a moment. So here I've pulled up the donation section of the site, and you can click on donate. And once you're logged in as an administrator, you'll have this option here that says record another member's contribution. And so I can select Kate Jones, and I know she has an outstanding credit, and I can just fill in. Most of this information is not related to what we're talking about, so we can just go ahead and proceed to payment. And so now that I have created a donation transaction, you'll see that I have an available credit of $35. So if I choose to mark that I am paying this $50 donation, I can credit that $35 towards this donation. So if I was to record a $35 donation, this total would be zero. and then you can submit the payment, and that would use up the entire credit. And that way, their canceled event registration would then be directly credited toward the donation fund.
All right, so we'll give it a couple minutes to see if anyone else has any questions related to financial accounts, the ClubExpress merchant account, or our credit card refund option. So remembering that in order to be able to refund your members or non-members via credit card, you would have to be using the ClubExpress merchant account. Of course, we wouldn't have access to that information if those payments weren't being funneled through ClubExpress. It's just one of the benefits of using the ClubExpress merchant account. Okay, so we have another question that's come in. If a member cancels an event registration online, does that create a credit, or does the administrator need to cancel the transaction to create the credit?
Right. So with all events, there is an option to allow members to cancel registration or not. If you allow members to cancel their own registration, upon cancellation, it will generate a credit for that amount. So yes, it would create a credit if they are allowed to cancel their own event registration.
And, okay. So we've referred to depositing money for an event to a different bank account. So can we explain what we mean by another bank account?
Absolutely. So I'll switch back to our demo club again. In your ClubExpress website, in the control panel, in the money section, you have the option to add multiple bank accounts here. And once you have added one bank account, there will always be a primary bank account, but you can add others. And once you have multiple bank accounts added, you can control where those funds go by assigning bank accounts to different financial accounts. So once someone makes a payment, you can say, so let's say we have two bank accounts, one for donations and one's for all other fees. We can set donations to always deposit into the donations financial account. And then if that financial account is tied to a bank, ClubExpress will deposit all received funds into that correct bank account for donations.
That's a great question. One participant wanted to know how to change or add those financial account types. If you could just switch back to that financial account screen. So there are. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. So
I
was just gonna say in the same section, the money section of the control panel, here's our financial accounts. And so this is a similar screen to what we were just looking at. But when we add a financial account, which is just a term that ClubExpress uses for categorizing incoming money, we can add an account, and there's an option to look at all of the bank accounts we have added. And you simply just give it a name. And if you have QuickBooks enabled, then you can give it QuickBooks item names to categorize those incoming funds.
Yes. And if you, Devin, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, you'll see a list of all of those, what we call master financial accounts. So these are those default accounts that you would see when you're pulling up a donation fund that you've created, a new member type where you're determining where your membership dues are going. So in the same way that you can determine that, maybe membership dues for that specific type of member type go into a different bank account. This is also a great way to say that membership dues for a specific chapter go into that chapter's bank account. So there are a lot of implications for those financial accounts, especially if you are an organization that has districts and chapters and regions. You can determine that any of those transactions or any of those payments would go directly into that specific chapter's bank account. So even if you, whether you're a chaptered organization or whether you are just one organization, using those financial accounts is really beneficial. So that's a way for you to, not just use those master accounts, but to use more specific accounts. And it isn't just for funneling money into separate bank accounts. It's also to help with reporting. You can get a lot more detailed reporting as to where your funds are coming from and where they're going using those financial account tags. So is there an upgrade or monthly fee associated with the merchant account? No, there is not a separate charge to use the ClubExpress merchant account. So it's something that's built into your site already. It's just a question of whether or not you'd like to use it. A lot of organizations, especially if they've come to us with another site that they've already built for themselves, and they're using ClubExpress, they may already have a merchant processor that they're using, and they may just choose to continue using that instead of switching over. So there isn't an extra charge. It's something that's available to you. You don't have to use it, but there are benefits to using it. And Judy asked if you could quickly review the process for creating that refund account.
Absolutely. I can't, unfortunately, demo it on our demo clip here, but I do have a few slides that I'll go back to. So when you're on your open credits page, you'll see this button that says refund account. And clicking on that button, again, this button will only show up if you are currently using the ClubExpress merchant account processor. So if you don't see this button, that means you don't currently have the ClubExpress merchant account processor set up. And if you'd like to, it's just the starting process is just call support or send an email to support@clubexpress.com. But if you do see this button, you'll also see the status of your merchant account, of your refund account to the right of that button. And clicking on it will give you this credit card refund account window where you can enter the amount that you need to refund and hit add to account. It is important to keep in mind that when you're deciding how much to add to your refund account, that you keep in mind that this will only be able to refund credit card transactions that were processed through the ClubExpress merchant account processor. And that's something you can double check by looking at the type of payment that member recorded. So if a member contacts you and says, I need a refund for this transaction that was canceled, you can go to their profile and look in their transaction history, and that little receipt icon will tell you what kind of payment they made. So if they paid by check, it would have to be refunded to them in another way. But if they did pay by credit card, then you would be able to refund that transaction by adding funds for that amount here. And then once you've added that amount and it's cleared from bank to bank, then you'll see this page and you'll get those little icons again that allow you to, it's the $ with the arrow icon that allows you to begin the refund process to send it back to their credit card.
And another question, is there a charge for transactions through the merchant account? So Devin, if you actually wouldn't mind going to the ClubExpress website and the pricing page.
I actually preemptively pulled that up.
Oh, perfect. We are very prepared. So we do have a list of the fees that get applied. Our fees are comparable to the normal credit card fees that you would pay, and they are per transaction. So if you have access to all of this information, if you go to clubexpress.com and click on the pricing option in the menu, and on the left-hand side, you'll see information about payment processing. This is, of course, also where you would go to check to see how much those extra cost modules might be or any design options that you might be interested in as well.
Yeah, and you'll see that currently this price is currently set at I'm pretty sure it's fairly competitive with other credit card processors, but it's currently set for Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. It's 2.9% of the transaction plus 20 cents per transaction. And American Express charges slightly higher credit card processing fees. So theirs is 3.3% plus 20 cents per transaction.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Devin, but I believe that clubs have the option to say that they don't want to accept American Express cards. Is that still correct?
You have the option to say you don't. In fact, you have the option for all 4 major credit card types. But most commonly, some clubs will say they'd rather not pay the higher fees for American Express. So you can turn that off. To do so, you do have to contact support and just let us know that you want that turned off, and we will change some settings in the back end to make sure that American Express is no longer accepted on your website.
Mm-hmm. And is there a time frame of funds being refunded back to the credit card? So yes, and when you take a look at the credit card refund screen, you'll also see information on the time frame in which we do allow credit card refunds. So that time frame is 180 days from the original payment date. So it is a decent chunk of time for your members to be able to contact you. The cutoff time for refunding that transaction through credit card refunds would be 180 days.
And the time it takes for money to get back to a member's credit card is still usually 3 to 5 business days.
Mhm.
That's pretty much the time frame for most bank to bank transactions through the ClubExpress merchant processor.
And please explain how to set up PayPal as a payment option.
Absolutely. So yeah, if we go back to our control panel, it's in the same location as starting up the ClubExpress merchant processor. So if we go to the money tab and go down to money options, we can scroll down and we'll see 2 sections. This is the credit card merchant account for signing up for the ClubExpress one. Again, if you want to start a ClubExpress merchant account, you'd contact support and you'll then see that start application button. And it's the same thing for PayPal, but this will be here automatically. And all you do is simply hit PayPal account configuration. You do already need to have a PayPal business account or PayPal nonprofit account previously set up in order for that process to begin. But it will just simply log you into your PayPal account. You'll approve its connection to ClubExpress, and then you'll be, and then that's really all there is to it. It's fairly quick.
Yes, and that just adds another way that your members and non-members are able to actually, pay you in a pretty efficient manner. So a lot of organizations are moving away from accepting checks or cash payments simply because that's just one more thing that you have to do, collecting those checks, applying them manually to the customer or to the member's account, and then depositing those checks into your own bank account. So, giving all of those options, the ability to pay by credit card or PayPal, that just increases the value of the website for your members. So they don't have to, get up from their computer, mail a check to you. They have the ability to just enter that payment information right away. And that helps you as an organization make sure that you're getting that money into your accounts almost instantly, as opposed to, that once every 2 weeks that you might go to the bank to deposit all of your checks. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, Devin, would you like to wrap us up?
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. Again, this webinar will be recorded and will be on our website under cool stuff in just a matter of days. And if you need to come back and watch it again, it'll be found there and on our YouTube channel. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for so many great questions. And if you have any more questions about it, feel free to reach out to support@clubexpress.com or just give us a call. Our information can be found on our website. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope everyone has a great day.